Last year, Obey had that identity of you playing the tanky setup characters most primarily, and then sometimes switching to a carry. But it was really feed PrettyPriMe. Now you're trying hunters mid. You're trying a lot of different things. Is that the idea? What's the identity right now of Obey?
I don't know if there's a specific identity because I think it changes with picks and bans, but I will say in general, if Prime is big and happy, then Obey is big and happy. Like if he's having a good game, the rest of us will. And so if we can get him big, if we can have him have a good game, whatever picks and bans and pressure it takes, I think is important for him to have a good game. And like mages are really strong right now in Smite, and I feel like that's the identity. Make Prime have a good game, and we'll have a good game.
Feed the Swede, right?
That's right.
All right, man. Good luck in your next matchup. Really excited to catch that one.
A couple of little snippets there. First of all, from Esports Weekly, and second of all, we get to see a little bit of our boy CaptainTwig and F. having a bit of an interview there. Feed the Swede was the biggest talking point. I guess that's the plan for Obey today.
And it should be, because PrettyPriMe has had still has those games, man, where he just looks dominant at times, but has also had a lot more quiet games so far in Season 5. And I think that is related to the team effort. They have set him up for success and hasn't always worked out, but I think that Obey, as long as they recognize what their game plan is every single game, is going to have a much easier time.
Obey today going to be taking on SK Gaming, and Obey so far this season looking like they have improved.
Yeah, a little bit. Still struggles, but
still some struggles for sure. But the main thing is like things overall seem to be improving in the right direction.
Yes, they're definitely in the right area. It just still feels weird to me to see iRaffer in those player pictures with the rest of that squad, doesn't it? But he's been there, and you know what? I think that Obey is getting better with him at the helm in that support role. They're starting to get a little bit more comfortable with him there, and it's worked out a little bit better. But it really comes down to how well can CaptainTwig, PrettyPriMe, and Ataraxia play to me. Xaliea has been pretty consistent, honestly, and has had some pretty solid games in that solo lane. I think Ataraxia has been playing at a very high level in the Hunter role. It's just that Hunters aren't the end-all be-all like they used to be. I think that as their teamwork improves, I really feel like that's the only problem right now for Obey, is teamwork. That once they get that, I think they'll be back to competing for the top in Europe.
Well, we'll see what happens for Obey today, because they've had a tendency to underperform against lower-end teams, and SK Gaming struggling themselves at the moment. Sat at the bottom of the SPL, not managed to find a win yet. Only roster change this split was HalfDevil coming in after Badger, who started off in spring with them, is no longer on this team.
Yeah, this team is definitely working on a lot of stuff, whereas I was talking about teamwork is all that Obey really needs to compete. SK need a little bit more still. I still think their picks and bans are sometimes a little bit questionable. I think that the mechanics are off in there, but still have some lapses for SK. Decision-making, shot calling, all that still needs to be worked on for SK Gaming. And that being said, I listed a lot of things that need worked on. They can still beat any team on any given day, it feels like.
I still think SK could most certainly beat any SML team in Europe right now.
Oh, they would wipe the floor with any SML team.
Including Insignum.
Yes, I think they would crush Insignum. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That being said, I think that they still can compete with any SPL team. I could realistically see SK taking a game off of Rival, Energy, Dignitas, Obey, Mouse, whomever. It's just that consistency isn't there for them yet.
Well, let's find out if they can find some of that consistency here today against Obey. Picks and bans are ready. We're going to see Obey with the first pick, first ban. I wonder if we're going to see some churn this game.
I imagine that we will.
I'm going to call him churn, by the way, because I'm lazy.
You don't like the bog?
It's just too long.
It's
Two
really
syllables. If I can ever make something one syllable. Look, my name, Hindu man. What do I call myself? Hindu. I'm lazy.
What about the Mayan
I'd call
Hunter
you
that has,
if I could.
I mean, you could. No one's really stopping you.
It's not really going to work.
So some Yan ban by Obey and Ath ban by SK. Is that what we're going with?
Then churn. See, perfect time.
Churn.
Timed out perfectly. Thanks very much, Aggro. SK with one more ban for themselves then to see what they want to do. Already taken away that Athena that they're a little bit worried about. It will be the Toth, so some little focus towards PrettyPriMe there. I do feel a lot of the picks and bans now are independent to the teams you're against. They're not really against specific gods, but Athena and maybe Chernobog are the top two that you expect to see bans towards.
Yes, I think that those are. I think that Thoth still doesn't quite feel bannable to me in a lot of games. Look, PrettyPriMe has these phenomenal games with Thoth, but he also has phenomenal games with every other character. And I feel like the games where Thoth doesn't really make an impact is still pretty high to me. I don't know. I see it sometimes, I do, but I don't know that Thoth is the best character. I think I'd rather ban Artemis than Thoth right now.
Funny enough about Artemis, she's getting first picked a lot just lately, especially when Chernobog is taken off the table. Almost immediate lock-ins every single time from the Artemis now.
Yes, I think that she is first pick worthy. Her laning phase isn't quite as bad as it used to be. She has so much turnaround potential on ganks and things like that. And all it takes is one crit here and there in the middle of a team fight or in the middle of the laning phase to send the whole game in your favor.
Is it really Zhang season?
Oh, it is Zhang season in full effect, baby. Let me tell you. This doesn't surprise me at all.
The one thing I like about the Zhang, though, is the fact that it's going to be in the solo lane most of the time, quite clearly from what the players have been doing, placing it in the solo lane, which means you're going to see some ganks on that lane now and again, so just farm off the entire time.
Maybe, but he's kind of just as tanky as most warriors, and does more damage, and he's ranged, and he's got CC with like a slow and a stun that lasts 2.2 seconds.
Well, Zhang Kui, I mean, obviously we see the Rigel lancing for SK there, but Zhang Kui, I mean, he's had his time where he struggled against gods. Ymir was the one that he struggled against, exploited by iRaffer at the World Championships once upon a time. Odin, a classic one. Then there's also Nemesis.
Nemesis, see, that's I think key to why we are seeing Zhang Kui a lot more.
Weak.
I think Nemesis is not very good right now at all. I think that she lost a lot of her identity in the quick camp clear that she used to have, the strong poke from Slice and Dice. That change, I think, really hurt her. And now that we won't see as much Nemesis, I think it's open for Zhang Kui. Like right here, Nemesis is available and would be a fine pick, but Serket is likely just better outright for SK, and I don't disagree.
It does remove the healing option from Zhang Kui as well. He likes to do with a card and exorcism combination. Obey going to go with Ratatoska. Could still go... Well, no, he can't go anywhere. He's going to be in the jungle. No surprise for CaptainTwig. And finally, it will be Sylvanas for Raffer. So dual lane, Artemis and Sylvanas.
I like it.
We're still to find out what SK going to put in the solo lane. Do you want to put Cerberus against the Zhang?
Yeah, I think you can, because you have that prot shred from the Ghastly Breath, and that's going to be really important. And you can actually outrange that. Yeah, the anti-heal, you can outrange the stun from Zhang Kui. Ghastly Breath is a little bit longer than that tiny stun from Zhang Kui. I think that putting it in the solo lane is a good idea here by SK.
SK going to look in Kumbhakana now, so it should be the Cerberus, although Kumba can be a solo laner too. We'll find out when we get into the game which way around that's going to be. How are we feeling about game one? Are we all Obey still? Is it Obey's game this? I mean,
now,
they do underperform.
Obey has struggled with SK, especially against this team. Obey's had their struggles against everyone for the most part besides Energy, but SK has given them trouble in particular. But I think Zhang Kui is one of the better gods in the game right now. I really feel like this is a good opportunity for Xaliea to continue to be dominant. In their games against Energy, Xaliea has been a huge part of Obey's success. The Chang'e that he played in their last set was just beautiful and played beautifully for Obey. I think that this is the same sort of idea, a little bit of an off-kilter solo laner that Xaliea can excel with, and I think it might throw SK off.
What is SK's game plan then here in this composition they've put together? Where is the focus from the circuit? Where should that be going?
It could really be in any lane, and that's the strength of this SK draft, is that they have plenty of CC and damage in every single lane. I think that Faeles, if he can put one lane behind early and then transition to another one, if SK can win even 2 lanes pretty handedly, they could run away with this game because they've got plenty of control in the late game team fights.
So that means you talk about positively about Obey and SK. Who's going to win this game?
I've got Obey still. I think Zhang is the difference.
Well, let's find out. Tom and Toli are standing by to bring you game one.
Thanks a lot, friends. Game number 1 of SK versus Obey. Drafts tell a story. Gameplay tells a story. Wins and losses tell a story. SK Gaming right now looking for their first victory against an Obey team that has struggled a little bit, but recently off of a victory.
They're just being able to find the victories against teams that you wouldn't normally think they would find the wins against. Obey beating Energy twice already this split, and that's putting Energy in a weird spot where if they start losing to Rival, if they start losing to Dignitas, that could kind of hurt their chances at land. But Obey still trying to climb the rankings, trying to climb the top 2, and it's up to whether or not Rivals succeed to determine if Obey will squeeze in.
Right now, little picture. Who's going to win this game? Very simple. That's what we asked you guys out there in Mixer Chat. Let us know where you're feeling. I think there's a lot of Obey fans out there. Ataraxia and Prime have had a number of fans behind them. That said, SK, Lawbster, and Funballer definitely have their own camps as well, so we'll see how that poll comes out. Let's get into the game right now. Game number 1 between Obey versus SK Gaming, and everything in their right places. Xaliea will be playing on the solo lane. Zhang Kui And then we've got HalfDevil on the Kumbhakar.
This is no surprise that if Zhonghui were to come back, of course, it would go to Xaliea and not PrettyPriMe trying to make something happen in that lane. He loves these oddball picks, and it works out so well because of just how difficult it is to kill the Zhonghui, getting protections, getting some self-sustain for himself, and just having the range to poke out most other warriors or even guardians alike.
Sylvanas wrestling control of the lane and largely getting it. iRaffer going to turn around real quick, but ultimately look towards the purple buff, looking for the invade. A little bit of a back off, biding his time, tosses the one, and he gets it. iRaffer able to snatch that one away. Feeling good about himself, the Obey support.
This is why when teams are conceding the lane pressure, they're going to opt for their own red buff instead of the purple. iRaffer, recognizing this, takes a little bit of a step forward. Obey not able to successfully invade the red buff, but still puts Lawbster in an awkward position, even puts Funballer in a bad spot in the duel lane.
Beads going down there. Looks like for the Obey player. Let you know in a moment. 86% of y'all think that Obey are going to be taking this one. And SK Gaming are at least taking PrettyPriMe beads for now. Lawbster able to dash away. And the invade onto Obey's purple buff is there, but unsuccessful. iRaffer gets his second buff of the duel lane.
And also hitting level 2. I'm surprised that he opts to go for his heal instead of the pull. There was definitely some kill potential. With Ataraxia hitting level 2, you get a pull into a trap, into the third ability to slow some more. Obey have a lot of kill threats in the duel lane already.
Yeah, I think what that comes down to is what's the percentage that you're going to hit the pull versus hit the heal. I think the heal is 100. Faeles right now trying to get aggressive, but getting aggressed on because of it.
Faeles is dead.
CaptainTwig on the back end, Xaliea on the front end. Faeles going to get carted through the wall, providing the slow. Can't find the exorcism.
He's
and
dead.
The zigzag is good. But there's a little bit of help from Lawbster. CaptainTwig finds the first blood for Obey Alliance.
Hitting level 2 on the Circuit, goes for Cobra's Kiss and Deathbane. Doesn't have that second ability to disengage, which is the ambush. And because of that, that's an easy chase for CaptainTwig. Without the ability to jump over a wall, the linear dash of Circuit is going to get followed by the linear dash of the Ratatasker.
And plus the Ratatasker already finished off the Acorn, so that means he's got 20% movement speed in comparison to, what, 7% of the booties, if he even had those at that time?
Yeah, something like 6%. Nice little route onto HalfDevil with an additional slow. The Sylvanas plus any hunter equals a winning lane, which is why in the last previous set, Dignitas banned away the Sylvanas in the first 2 picks, respecting Darda as Obey's iRaffer. Having the Sylvanas making a lot of good plays where pushing out the lane in level 1, being able to successfully invade the purple buff.
Uh-oh. Ducky jumps away, and Obey with 1,000 gold above their opposition at 3 minutes. That's a very large relative lead here.
Being able to invade the purple, get your own purple, get a first blood while securing your own back camps is putting CaptainTwig in a great spot to now invade on the opposite end of things. And as a Ratatasker, or any god realistically with the global pressure, it's a great spot to be in to start assisting some of these side lane gods.
So Ataraxia on the Artemis. This character has been numero uno, top pick, top ban, very effective hunter. He's been doing pretty well, as Agro mentioned on the desk as well. Excited to see him on the late game carry. Excited to see Artemis make it through bans.
It's very interesting to see how a lot of these teams favor different things. In the last game, there was no Chernobog pick or ban in that set, whereas in this one specifically, Obey not wanting to deal with it or first pick it for themselves, considering they're on the order side. So teams still kind of figuring things out, despite being in week 5 of the summer split.
Yeah, I mean, Chernobog, this is the first week that we're going to be able to see him in competitive play. He's very strong. Agro said that he might just be the best carry right now, or the best hunter, excuse me. The downside is the lack of a teamfight ultimate for sure. And I think when you see teams forego the Chernobog, they're kind of saying, look, I mean, we acknowledge he's really, really dope. We just do need some AoE, or we need a teamfight, or we need something that Chernobog is just not able to deliver with his global ultimate.
And that's where Artemis comes in. The ping-ponging, stunning boar that does a decent amount of damage is the reason why Obey Alliance first picked this goddess. Also, on the side of Mouse, they would always first pick the Artemis for Spudio if given the opportunity. It's not just a one-trick pony, whereas other teams will opt for different things potentially, where they'll prioritize the Giannis more above anything else, or the Thaw for your mid-mage. It's all dependent on how you want to control which lane. And for Obey's case, they wanted to control the dual lane with that purple buff invade.
Blue buff invade by Obey successful, and they'll look to just get on out of here. And yeah, it's all about about what lane you want to pressure, and also about your individual team prowess. I mean, if your mid laner's the best player on the team, you're prioritizing the mid lane pick, or at least making sure he gets a comfort selection.
Well, you can make an argument if your best player is mid, then you don't have to prioritize for him because he should be good to be played with anything, realistically.
Well, being good is such a terrible adjective. A lot of my writing teachers told me never to use the phrase good, when describing something, because it's ambiguous. Good at what? There are a lot of variables that you can be good at Smite at. If you're just hitting your stuff, I'm giving you Thoth. If what makes you good is a wide god pool, well then you're onto something else. So yeah, I mean it all depends on what your team composition is and identifying what your team's good at.
Surprise onto Ataraxia. The board comes a little bit too late. Damage has been done. Faeles making it happen in the dueling.
That's what we call Barabor. Thanks Baskin. When you drop the board, it just doesn't do anything. Just stand still.
If he dropped the board during the Cobra's Kiss, maybe he finds the return kill because you would disrupt the Cobra's Kiss. You'd be able to bring in the damage, or maybe at least force a counter beat out of Faeles, but not really able to react fast enough because of the angle that Faeles took right underneath between that Gold Fury side wall. A very important angle to ward if you're in the Hunter position left alone.
HalfDevil looking to take advantage of CaptainTwig, who dashes away. Won't get rooted there, but a very important kill for Faeles. A player who has struggled throughout the year and is important for SK to win. When Faeles plays well, SK plays well, and sometimes they find game victories off of it. Obviously no match victories or set victories just yet.
That's usually the case for a lot of junglers in Season 5.
I don't. For SK, it's more drastic, totally, because when you look at some of the other teams, if Home AFA has a bad game, Heroin can go ham, right?
True.
You got a lot of options. That's what makes these teams great. SK Gaming doesn't seem to have that.
Faeles taking a lot of damage from CaptainTwig, having to go back to his own tier 2 tower. PrettyPriMe looking for the long-range Raffer. Gets off the Wrath of Terror, pulls in Lawbster, but the action is being set up in the mid lane.
Oh, the ultimate perfectly timed by the mid lane Raijin.
Smart disengage from CaptainTwig. CaptainTwig in Season 3 goes for the kill there. Season 5 Twig, a little bit more mature and veteran. He understands that if he commits to the kill, he's going to get the kill. The dash damage and one more basic attack is all that's needed. But by using your dash, you no longer have an escape. And with a Kumbhakarna right beside you, he's not going to allow you to leave the premises.
For me, it's more about the ultimate coming out from the Raijin, right? The Raijin immunes the knockup, and if the knockup happens, you probably see the kill from CaptainTwig. But when Raijin goes into the ultimate, he immunes the knockup and immediately threatens to taunt into the tower into certain death, right? So CaptainTwig sits there and goes, if I hit you, I'm getting taunted and I'm dying to the tower, so he absolutely can't exercise that option. So CaptainTwig comes up empty-handed in the middle lane, but certainly having a decent game so far. Number 2 net worth overall, and just finished his Crusher.
Doing so much damage, which is why Faeles had to retreat under his own tier 2 tower. With that one kill onto Ataraxia, Faeles was able to get back into the game, but with that technical kill, forcing Faeles to stop farming, worry about his health, go back to the fountain. More farming time for CaptainTwig, being able to invade the back camps, still looking for more of an invade on the right side, positioning himself to strip away Faeles' speed.
That's what he's looking for right now. Tell him it's good. It's going to be the speed buff. I'm picking up. CaptainTwig avoids HalfDevil, ultimate available, and we'll see him escape on out of there.
Very clean and very important to use that ultimate. Surprised that he got the dash off right during the yaw, but he goes back in, setting up Xaliea.
And there's a little bit of help from the Zhang Kui. HalfDevil cut down, getting 2 players with that exorcism so large. And now PrettyPriMe goes right into Lawbster, tosses the ultimate at him, taking a ton of damage.
Oh, the
Knockup is good.
rotation.
PrettyPriMe lives. What a play by the support. Xaliea takes 1. Turnaround. Card. Where's the exorcism?
No one's dying. Xaliea was the target of the last breath, and he killed Faeles. He kills HalfDevil. A nice double kill for your soul laner out of Obey Alliance. Xaliea surviving. PrettyPriMe being able to survive with a clutch rotation from Raffer. Obey are just on point today.
Zhang Kui showing why he's so good. Big damage. coming out from the Ghostbuster. But more importantly, Raffer with the right rotation, right time, saving PrettyPrime's life.
Even CaptainTwig being able to survive for as long as he did, he invaded the speed buff. That's how this all started off.
Yep.
A little rat stealing away a speed buff, and then all of a sudden there's fireworks every which way. He jumps back down, baiting himself out on purpose to allow Xaliea to follow up. But then Lawbster just kind of looked at CaptainTwig like a deer in the headlights. Didn't really know what to do once he missed the Raiju. So then all of a sudden he goes into his ultimate to try to take out PrettyPrime, but Raffer stopping him in his tracks. Couldn't really kill the Discordia with all 4 of those drums, so he had to take a seat back to the grave.
Small interaction that I want to bring up that I've always really loved is Zhang versus Kumbhakarna. So Zhang Kui, when his stun is off of cooldown, has 1.5 basic attacks, essentially. His book, one of the passives, it allows him to have 2 shots. You can see right here, he's actually shooting 2 basics per swing. So that actually takes 2 of the little dots away from the passive for Kumbhakarna. Do I call it a counter to the character? That's probably pushing it, totally. But these little interactions, this is the highest level of play. You are looking for every advantage. And Xalea's choice versus HalfDevil's choice is a very, very nice selection to avoid the, or to get rid of that passive.
Just to secure the kill a little faster, not wanting to sit around just like a duck. But it wasn't... It was a last pick Kumbhakarna. Zhang Kui, I think, a little bit more favored than just trying to counter the Kumbhakarna. Sure, it's a nice little bonus to Xaliea.
That's really what you're looking at.
And there's also other bonuses where you can go Telekind's Ring if you really wanted to get extra damage on that. Demonic Grip to build some extra damage. I'm just saying, there's a lot of interactions. Now, is that the most optimal? Probably not. But it makes for a little bit of fun with your buddies in a Clash game.
You know, it's interesting, though. Zhang Kui, one of those characters where I feel like I just don't have enough item slots. The Gem of Isolation, very important for the control element. Being able to pop the ultimate and slow everyone near you is one of the most obnoxious feelings. You've got this demon guy yelling and screaming and killing you and also slowing you. It's rage-inducing. P.S. The card slows independently. 80% slow with Gem of Isolation.
Between the 2 of them, it's so obnoxious to have to worry about. If you don't have some sort of slow immunity, Winged Blade comes to mind, Sprint is another great option, then you're going to be in trouble without that kind of safety net because you are almost essentially rooted because a root is technically 100% slow. So you're getting close to root status.
SK Gaming right now, down 4,000 gold, maybe 3,000, give or take. 13 minutes in, Obey Alliance certainly have had the early game. Now as we transition to the mid, a little bit of a lull in the action.
Obey not wanting to pull the Gold Fury quite yet. Still not comfortable despite Ataraxia sitting at level 12 Artemis. Seeing a little bit of action. Blue buff secured by Xaliea, making sure that Ducky jumps a lot sooner than he wanted to.
Had to use the ultimate though. Xaliea making sure to push Ducky out.
It was more about using his own ultimate to prevent the disruption that Ducky would have done with the Stygian Torment. The knockup displaces Zhang Kui long enough that you can squeeze in some abilities.
Meanwhile, HalfDevil taking about quarter of his life from one ability. Left side Harpies go to Obey, and a little bit of a jump forward from SK, but they're thinking twice about it here, Anatoly.
SK are waffling around, and that allows Xaliea to come in mid.
And there's a big attack onto Xaliea. Oh no, he's surrounded by SK Gaming. CaptainTwig's able to take down Lawbster, though.
The pull onto HalfDevil, he's very low, trying to chase him down. CaptainTwig will set up Raffer for his kill, and it's a 5-on-3 advantage. A comfortable situation as Obey heads towards the gold.
You know why HalfDevil died so quickly there?
Why's that, Tom?
Zhang Kui has 2 basics. It had nothing to do with 5 Obey Alliance
members. You need to
stop
right now, Tom. CaptainTwig with another kill onto Faeles, sitting at 1-3 and nothing as Funballer's the target yet again. The card was applied, and the kill happened during the 3rd strike. Good jukes from CaptainTwig, keeping himself alive. Oh, and P.S. Obey Alliance secure the goal here on the left side of the map.
Officer John Kui reporting for duty. Jonathan Kui just gets completely out of control, man. This god has been ignored for too long, and he's making his revenge known.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Xaliea, he got the right idea, but he wasn't in range to stun Ducky as well. He wanted to get the damage off, but one more basic attack would have done it. Some of the smaller things in life to have to worry about.
That's what I was going to say, was if he didn't use the stun, he would have had 2 basics to secure the blue buff. Would have been enough damage.
The stun does more damage than the basic attacks.
Left side, iRaffer and PrettyPriMe. You know, the stun does more damage than Exorcism.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, you have to be point-blank range to use it, though. Not the ideal situation in the early game, but once you got the items necessary, you got the Celestial Legion Helm, you also got the Void Stone. Now you're in more resilient form. Being able to get in the thick of things is Zhonghui's specialty.
Now, next I want to see Spear the Magus. Spear the Magus is going to obviously increase the damage that Xaliea does. He's a dot-based character, so it's going to be very easy to apply. It'll help out PrettyPriMe and iRaffer's damage, believe it or not, as well. So I think that's a very good move. And then after that, we'll see a Gem of Isolation, most likely.
Uh-oh, CaptainTwig pairing up with Ataraxia on the left side, but they're not going to commit towards the dive quite yet. Just chunking the tier 1 tower for the moment. Recognizing that HalfDevil is right here, responding to the blink perfectly with a board.
And that didn't look like a great job.
Level 10 Kumakarna, 26 stacks on the Gauntlet of Thebes. He has no business with a level 15 Artemis.
And mid lane, here comes Lawbster. He's got no business. Gonna be shut down. PrettyPriMe. Not going to let him continue playing the game. Lawbster down for the count. Trouble in Funball Town as well, as CaptainTwig finds another one to lock on up there. Faeles trying to run away, and he'll get jumped on!
Oh,
the Goomba Stump and the Doubloon for CaptainTwig.
Faeles did not respond quick enough to that knockup. Could have definitely just jumped in place if he really wanted to. It didn't matter where he landed. He just needed to get that jump off. And with 3 quick picks in the left side of the map, Bay Alliance strip away the tier 2 tower on the left, tier 1 tower in the mid lane, where Lawbster fell earlier, being able to just strip away anything they want against SK Gaming.
So this game is largely in Obey's favor right now. Just 17.5 on the clock. Bay Alliance have a dozen kills, SK with just 1. Over that magic 5-digit point in the gold column. And Obey are definitely in a position to win this game. It's up to SK Gaming if they want to sort of let that one go. But we don't see these Game 1 F6s. Usually teams will take this moment to reflect on what went wrong because you have a limited time in between games to really make those adaptations and adjustments.
I definitely agree with you, but the late game potential is certainly there for SK Gaming. Lawbster on the rise and has a lot of damage, but he has to get there. He's 3 levels behind PrettyPriMe. I don't think Obey Alliance are about to push on the brakes anytime soon. If Funballer gets to the late game, that could be some comeback mechanics that SK Gaming might rely on. Obey Alliance, but they're so methodical about how they go about every action. They're not pushing for these tier 2 towers or phoenixes. They're not going for the fire giant. They're just grouping up slowly, waiting for their 5th, 6th items before they commit.
HalfDevil looked like he had a bead on CaptainTwig, but between the Magi's cloak and just the speedy little Ratatasker legs, he's able to get on out.
How come he doesn't wear boots?
He floats. Look.
Whoa.
Yep.
Switchcraft.
No.
Squirrels don't do that.
I beg to differ. I've seen squirrels do that in my time.
What time is that?
Pyromancer taken down by
Oh,
Obey
you can't avoid the question. What time do you come from where squirrels float?
Ducky running away here. Blinked on by iRaffer. Ultimate for ultimate. Rooted out. 3 members from Obey Alliance and 0 members of SK Gaming. Ducky falls down.
Nowhere to go. HalfDevil actually just messing him out for the moment. Xaliea is zoning everyone else away. HalfDevil gets in place after the
Look at
apple.
that.
Everyone is just so low from SK. They're dropping like flies.
Xaliea way up front doing heavy damage. Kumakana falls down to the back despite Xaliea not being there with his 2 basic attacks. Doing damage up in the front line was the Zhonghui.
As he should have.
Yes, I agree. It was the right move.
He doesn't need those basic attacks.
But he's got them.
This hurts me more. This hurts me deep. surrender vote actually being started by SK Gaming, and that's going to go through.
Wow.
Obey Alliance with a quick victory, 19, not even 20 minutes into the game, 16-1.
Yeah, so like we were talking there, it was pretty much just teams don't like to surrender too early because they want to break down what went wrong. This one, I think the writing was on the wall, SK not coming back, and then it basically looked like, all right, we figured out what went wrong. They got a fire giant. It's over, boys.
I think they're going to look back at picks and bans as well. They're not going to allow iRaffer to go for Sylvanas.
Really?
Yes, that's a big deal. In terms of invading the purple buff right off the bat, these little steps towards the first minute of the game are crucial at the SPL level. A lot of teams, when they scrim, if they're losing the first minute or two, they're just going to restart it right off the bat because they know it's like, oh, okay, here comes a big ordeal that we have to climb up for no reason. And if you don't have to worry about that push potential from Sylvanas, well, now you don't have to worry about the purple buff invade as well. And it all kind of cycles from there.
Jean Kui ban?
Not necessarily. Maybe some more attention onto the Jean Kui. Maybe an Odin jungle out of Faeles to look for that. And some more aggression, specifically from the opposite end. I think that SK kind of missed the ball on camping Jean Kui.
Let us know who you think the most valuable player was here. I think a number of different people could be up for it. But that's going to do it for game number 1. Let's break it down.
How do we go from having a 60-minute extravaganza to 20 minutes and done?
Because you and I have worse life RNG than Tom and Tully.
It happens, and it happened there to SK Gaming as well. Commiserations to them in game 1. Didn't work out very well at all.
No, the Jean Kui man was so dominant in that game, but it was really CaptainTwig for my money. I mean, 5-0 and 5 on this Ratatoskr. He had, what, a 5-level lead over Faeles during points of that game. He just set the pace very early on for Obey Alliance, and we talked so much about Obey's game plan is get PrettyPriMe ahead and all that kind of stuff, but when Twig is having performances like this, it's going to make Obey's life so much easier.
16,000 player damage nearly from Xaliea there, compared to that of, what, 5.8k, the highest on the other side of things. And CaptainTwig will be your MVP for that game with the Ratatoskr plays.
And even though it may seem weird with Xaliea having that much more player damage than everyone else, like I said, it's because of the performance of CaptainTwig. This first blood really set the tone early, and Xaliea is there to help out, of course, but Twig played very, very well this time.
That card just slowed him down so much. So allowed Twig to get in range, pick up that kill, and worked out well for the boys of Obey. Back to winning ways for them then. SK continue on this down slump. They've got to change things up in game 2. You heard Tom mention about the Jean Kui pan. Jean was definitely an issue that you could tell by the stats after the game.
Very much so.
But Tolly still believes no ban.
I hear Tolly, I do, but I think I'm banning Zhang, man. I think that Xaliea has had so much more success with these sort of all off-kilter solo laners. The problem is you ban Zhang, you go for something traditional, maybe Xaliea just goes back to the Chang'e that he's had success with. I think that SK's got their hands full in this picks and bans.
Well, let's get in.